Hey there, history lovers! Today we're going way back in time to the Iberian Peninsula, which is mostly Spain and Portugal today. Get ready for an adventure as we explore the Reconquista, a long series of battles that changed everything. Imagine Iberia in the Middle Ages, a mix of different people and religions. Muslims, Christians, and Jewish people lived together, sometimes peacefully, sometimes not, in many small kingdoms. But the Muslims, also called Moors, were in charge. They had conquered most of the area in the 700s. Then came the Reconquista. This wasn't just one war, it lasted hundreds of years. Christians wanted to take back the land from Muslim rule. Imagine knights, Moorish warriors, and Jewish communities caught in the middle. It was a very dangerous time, and the battles were intense. One of the most important events? The fall of Granada in 1492. After almost 800 years of Muslim rule, the last Muslim kingdom fell to the Catholic rulers, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. This victory ended Muslim rule in Iberia and led to a time known as Spain's Golden Age. But let's go back a bit. Getting to Granada's fall was a long and complicated journey, with changing friendships and big rivalries. Christian kingdoms like Castile, Aragon, and Navarre often fought each other, but they all wanted the same thing: to get their land back and spread Christianity. What about the Jewish people? They were a big part of Iberian history and culture. But during the Reconquista, life got much harder for them. In 1492, a new law forced them to become Christian or leave Spain, ending hundreds of years of Jewish life there. The Reconquista wasn't just about battles, it was about different cultures clashing, religions fighting for power, and kings and queens wanting more land. The Moors left beautiful buildings, advanced science, and a rich culture behind. Think of the Alhambra Palace, a beautiful example of Moorish art and architecture. But the Christian victory changed the region forever. Spain became one united kingdom ready to explore and conquer new lands. This is when explorers like Christopher Columbus sailed across the ocean, changing the world. So next time you see a beautiful Spanish cathedral or enjoy some tasty Spanish food, remember the Reconquista. It's a story of fighting, survival, and different cultures mixing together, and it still affects Spain and Portugal today. Thanks for watching. If you liked learning about history, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and click the notification bell for more exciting stories from the past. See you next time.
Did you know that the Reconquista, which spanned nearly 800 years, was not just a battle for land but also a complex cultural exchange between Christians, Jews, and Moors that shaped the identity of Spain? The Reconquest of Iberia is a fascinating chapter in history that has had a lasting impact on modern Spain and Portugal. It's a story of conquest, defeat, and coexistence that has shaped the cultural and religious dynamics of the region. In this documentary, we'll delve into the history of the Reconquest, exploring the key events, figures, and conflicts that define this pivotal period. In the 8th century, the Moors, a Muslim people from North Africa, arrived in Iberia, bringing with them a rich cultural heritage and a new faith. Meanwhile, the Jewish community had already established itself in the region, playing an important role in the cultural and economic development of the peninsula. The Reconquest of Iberia began in the 11th century, as Christian kingdoms from the north of the peninsula started to push back against Moorish rule. This was a time of great upheaval, marked by intense battles, sieges, and power struggles. One of the key figures of this period was Alfonso VI, the King of Leon and Castile, who launched a series of successful military campaigns against the Moors. Another important figure was El Cid, a skilled military leader who fought on both sides of the conflict, earning fame and admiration from both Christians and Moors. As the Reconquest gained momentum, the Moors began to lose ground, and their once great cities, like Toledo and Córdoba, fell to Christian forces. The fall of these cities marked a significant turning point in the conflict, as they were not only important centers of power but also hubs of cultural and intellectual activity. The Reconquest was not just a military campaign but also a battle for cultural and religious supremacy. The Moors and Jews faced numerous challenges during the Reconquest, including political struggles and societal tensions. As the Christians advanced, the Moors were forced to retreat, leaving behind their homes, businesses, and cultural institutions. The Jews, who had lived in relative peace under Moorish rule, found themselves caught in the middle of the conflict, often facing persecution and violence from both sides. The outcome of the Reconquest was the defeat of the Moors and the establishment of Christian rule over the entire peninsula. The Treaty of Granada, signed in 1492, marked the final surrender of the Moors, bringing an end to nearly 8 centuries of Muslim presence in Iberia. For the Jews, the Reconquest brought about a mix of hope and despair. On the one hand, the expulsion of the Moors brought an end to the persecution they had faced under Moorish rule. On the other hand, the triumphant Christian kingdoms began to impose harsh restrictions on Jewish life, culminating in the Alhambra Decree, which forced the Jews to convert to Christianity or leave the peninsula. The Reconquest of Iberia led to the defeat of the Moors and had profound implications for the Jewish population. It marked the beginning of a new era in Spanish and Portuguese history, one in which the Catholic Church played a dominant role, shaping the cultural, political, and religious landscape of the region. The Reconquest also had a lasting impact on the cultural and religious dynamics of the region, laying the foundations for the complex identity of modern Spain and Portugal. In conclusion, the story of the Reconquest of Iberia is a complex and multifaceted one, full of twists and turns, conflicts and contradictions. It's a story that continues to shape the cultural and religious dynamics of Spain and Portugal, reminding us of the importance of understanding our shared history. If you're interested in learning more about the Reconquest and Jewish history in Spain, be sure to check out our other videos on the subject, and don't hesitate to share your thoughts and insights in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
For almost 800 years, the Iberian Peninsula, which is now Spain and Portugal, was a place where Islamic culture thrived. The Moors, as the Muslim conquerors were called, came from North Africa in 711 AD. Their arrival changed the region's history, culture, and who people felt they were. The Reconquista, from 711 to 1492, was a long fight by Christian kingdoms to take back the peninsula. This time wasn't just about land battles, it was about 3 big religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, living together, sometimes peacefully, sometimes not. The Reconquista changed everything. It shaped Spain and Portugal, and we still see its effects today. To understand it, we need to look at the history, the important events, and how it changed the culture and religions of the Iberian Peninsula. It's a story of conquest, living together, conflict, and finally, a new way of life. The Moors arrived in 711 AD. It was fast and they won quickly. Led by Tariq ibn Ziyad, they crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and beat the Visigoths who ruled the Iberian Peninsula. In just a few years, the Moors conquered most of the peninsula and created the Islamic state of Al-Andalus. This began a very important chapter in Iberian history. The first Moorish conquest was really fast. The Visigothic kingdom, already weak from fighting within itself, was no match for the well-organized Moorish army. Cities like Córdoba, Toledo, and Seville were taken, and Islamic rule began. It would last for hundreds of years, but the Reconquista started almost right away. In the northern mountains of Asturias, a small Christian army led by Pelagius beat a Moorish army at the Battle of Covadonga in 722 AD. This win, though it seemed small at the time, is seen as the first big victory against the Moors. It gave hope to the Christians who wanted to resist. It was the start of a long, hard fight to take back the Iberian Peninsula. Under Moorish rule, especially during the Umayyad Caliphate of Córdoba, from 929 to 1031 AD, Al-Andalus was amazing. Córdoba, the capital city, became famous for learning, culture, and trade. It had a beautiful mosque, a famous library, and lots of smart people, which brought scholars from all over the Islamic world. The Moors brought new ideas about farming, building, and art. They brought new crops, ways to water fields, and building styles that changed the Iberian Peninsula. The Alhambra Palace in Granada shows how great Moorish architecture was. But this time wasn't perfect. While Al-Andalus was known for being pretty tolerant, with Muslims, Christians, and Jews living together, there were times of bad treatment and tension. The dhimmi system let non-Muslims practice their religions, but with rules, and these rules weren't always followed. The Reconquista wasn't a straight line, it went back and forth. Christian kingdoms in the north slowly took more land, while the Moors became weaker because they were fighting amongst themselves. In the 11th century, strong Christian kingdoms like Castile, Leon, and Aragon became a real threat to the Moors. The Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa in 1212 was a big moment in the Reconquista. Christian armies from Castile, Aragon, Navarre, and Portugal joined together and crushed the Almohad Caliphate. This made the Moors much weaker in Iberia. As the Christian kingdoms got stronger, things got worse for the Moors and Jews in Al-Andalus. When Cordoba fell in 1236, the Caliphate ended, and Islamic rule in Iberia began to fall apart even more. We often hear about the Reconquista as a Christian victory over Islam, but it's important to remember the suffering and the complicated religious situation. Both Muslims and Jews were treated badly and forced to become Christian. The Inquisition, which started in 1478, went after people they thought had the wrong beliefs. This led to many Jews and Muslims being punished and kicked out. When Granada, the last Moorish city, fell in 1492, the Reconquista was over. The Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella, who had joined their kingdoms by getting married, now ruled all of Spain under Christianity. But this victory was costly. That same year, Ferdinand and Isabella made the Alhambra Decree. It said all Jews in Spain had to become Christian or leave. Thousands of Jews were forced to leave their homes and many went to other parts of Europe and the Ottoman Empire. The Reconquista changed the culture, religion, and politics of Spain and Portugal forever. Catholicism became the main religion, and it shaped how these countries saw themselves. Because Jews and Muslims were forced to leave or convert, the area lost a lot of its religious and cultural mix. The Reconquista also changed how the Spanish language, literature, and art developed. Hundreds of years of Christian and Islamic cultures mixing together left a big mark on Spanish civilization. People still talk about the Reconquista today, and they don't always agree. Some see it as a heroic fight for freedom. Others focus on the violence, intolerance, and loss of culture. To understand Spain and Portugal today, we need to understand the complicated history of the Reconquista and how it changed everything.
Join me as I dive deep into history to find out if ancient Iberia really fell to the Hebrews and Moors. Ancient Iberia, a land of rich cultural heritage, nestled in the southwestern corner of Europe, has a history that's as complex as it is fascinating. For centuries, historians and scholars have debated the extent of its interactions with two significant civilizations, the Hebrews and the Moors. In this video, we're going to explore the intricacies of these interactions and uncover the truth behind the myths. When we think about ancient Iberia, we often imagine a land conquered and dominated by these two powerful forces. But did it really fall to the Hebrews and Moors? This is a question that has sparked intense debate among historians and scholars, with some arguing that the Hebrews and Moors exerted significant influence over the region, while others claim that ancient Iberia maintained its independence throughout. One of the primary challenges in understanding this period is the scarcity of reliable sources, making it difficult to separate fact from fiction. Archaeological findings and historical accounts often provide conflicting information, further muddying the waters. Moreover, the political and religious agendas of past historians have also influenced our understanding of these events, leaving us with a fragmented and incomplete picture. Despite these challenges, historians have managed to piece together a narrative that's both captivating and informative. The story of ancient Iberia's interactions with the Hebrews and Moors is one of cultural exchange, conquest, and coexistence, with each side leaving an indelible mark on the region. The timeline of events is complex, with the Hebrews arriving in Iberia as early as the 10th century BCE, followed by the Moors in the 8th century CE. These two civilizations brought with them their distinct cultures, languages, and religious practices, which would eventually blend with those of the native Iberian populations. Key figures, such as the Phoenician king, Hiram I, and the Moorish caliph, Abd ar-Rahman III, played significant roles in shaping the course of history in this region. Archaeological findings have provided valuable insights into the lives of ancient Iberians, Hebrews, and Moors. Excavations at sites such as Carthage and Medina az-Zahara have unearthed artifacts that testify to the cultural exchange and borrowing that occurred between these civilizations. Historical accounts, such as the works of the Roman historian, Strabo, and the Moorish chronicler, Ibn al-Khatib, have also shed light on the events of this period. One of the most pivotal moments in this narrative is the Treaty of Tudmir, signed in 713 CE, which marked the beginning of Moorish rule in Iberia. This treaty, and the events that followed, had far-reaching consequences for the region, leading to the establishment of a distinct Islamic culture that would flourish for centuries. The Battle of Covadonga in 722 CE is another significant event that highlights the complexities of this period. This battle, fought between the Visigothic king, Pelayo, and the Moorish forces, is often seen as a symbol of Christian resistance against Islamic rule. However, it also marks the beginning of a period of coexistence and cultural exchange between the two sides. In conclusion, the story of ancient Iberia's interactions with the Hebrews and Moors is a complex tapestry of cultural exchange, conquest, and coexistence. While it's true that these civilizations left an indelible mark on the region, it's equally important to recognize the agency and independence of the native Iberian populations. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the past. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic, so please leave your comments below. If you're interested in exploring more of ancient Iberia's rich history, be sure to check out my next video on the fascinating culture of the Tartessians.